if I was going to do this show, you were one person that I had to have on here, Uh,
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for the
yeah,
invite.
yeah, for sure. So we're already recording. So if it's okay with you, I'm just going to go ahead and get started.
Let's do it. Follow
Awesome.
your lead.
Awesome. Yeah, so thanks again, man, for coming on here. I've been following you for years, I originally found you through Brent Daniels. So I just know you're packed with value. So for those who may not know, just start off by explaining who you are.
My name is Rafael Cortez. I'm out of Phoenix, Arizona. It's my hometown. I coach real estate wholesaling. I'm an organizational psychologist. I own businesses in a couple of different verticals. I'm a real estate brokerage. And I mean, I've been in business for the last 20 years. I guess that's the rundown, right? But yeah, I'm pretty active on social media as well, and on a daily, I teach people how to do real estate investments and apply the strategies that I've learned over the last 20 years. Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, man. And you also, are you run a crazy CRM, right?
yeah. So I built a. I mean, as we go through the process of business, right? We get into stuff and then we encounter issues. What I did early on was, I mean, I tried to hire out and build a CRM to manage my own business, and I mean, I ended up just kind of doing it myself and putting together a specific build out that does exactly what I needed to do, right? So I've had that for years. And improved along the way and that sort of thing, but it's one aspect of everything that comes in when you have the opportunity of just launch, right, and do your own thing.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, you said you coach, you actually are active in your real estate business.
Yeah,
Which one do you prefer?
I spend personally I spend more time on the coaching side.
Yeah.
My team handles the wholesaling side of it. So when we have things that are out of pocket per se, right? Then I'll come in, I'll take a look at it, commercial deals, I'll underwrite, and then do that kind of stuff. But my function in that business, in the wholesaling business, is to keep it running. So it's building
Yeah.
the operation and then plugging people into the process, which I mean, it's what we get to do now, right? And I mean, we hover around 15 deals a month, somewhere around there. It ebbs and flows and whatnot. And but yeah, the team is handling. So I have a team in place, lead managers, acquisitions, dispo people, and I spend most of my time on the coaching side. I have group coaching and then one-on-one advanced coaching for people who are doing more stuff.
Sweet. So was it always like that? Like when you first started, did you start with a team or did you start just you?
No. I mean, I bootstrapped the thing, right? So it was just, I was wearing all the hats at first. I was wearing all the hats, and I started thinking, man, how can I start to delegate? How can I do less of these things? At the end of the day, I think we're in the pursuit of freedom, right? Not just cash. When we're in survival mode, we're going to be looking for the cash return, right?
Yeah.
But once we start to get that revenue in, then we start looking at time, and we start looking at contribution. We start looking at impact and other factors, right? So I think it's a sequence of priorities that we go through. And at first, I was very much just about chasing the dollar and trying to figure things out. I didn't know what I was doing, and I started in 2009. And I mean, it was a very challenging time for me at the time, but I figured out, like, listen, this is something that we can build out, and it's really cool. But if I don't pull myself out of it, I'm going to be trapped in this. It's just a different rat race.
Yeah.
I'm going to be trapped in the business, until I'm able to systemize and just create a legit operation. So yeah, no, I didn't have a team. I didn't have. I mean, started by myself, and I was hammering stuff out.
Awesome. So the reason I asked, man, is because, I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups for real estate, wholesaling, and it seems like I'm seeing more and more newcomers come in, and the first thing they're trying to go to is VAs and before they've ever done a deal, before they've ever talked to someone. So, you being a coach, how do you coach your students? Like what would you recommend?
Don't do it. You have to know enough in anything that you're tapping into, right? So at least to the point that you're dangerous in it. What I mean by that is like, understand, like, you can't know if you hire somebody who's got talent if you don't know what talent looks like, right? If you
Yeah.
haven't been through the conversations, if you haven't been through through the tenacity it takes to go through rejection and build your thicker skin that way, you're not going to know what your team needs. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how great of a person you plug into the process. You can't just buy a wholesale business. We're not making widgets, right? everything that we do is very subjective. So
Yeah.
you are going to come across deals that look different. They act different. They have different returns. They may look great, but once you start looking at the layers in there, there might be a different structure that plays into it. So it's not a, even though we can turn it into this assembly line type of framework, and there's always going to be variations,
Yeah.
right? And unless you have at least a notion of what the industry looks like, and and what you have to go through when you're working a deal, you're not going to know what you're looking for, right? So don't start off hiring people and growing and dumping a whole bunch of cash into marketing right out of the gate. Don't do that, because one, you're not going to know how to close the deals. There's specific conversations that need to happen in a specific fashion, right?
Yeah.
As you're going through it. So now you're just wasting marketing dollars. And if you hire an acquisitions, if you hire a dispo, even if you hire a manager, right, to run your business, I mean, what's to say that they're going to be doing a good job for you because you can't identify it? It's a different beast, man. I don't think that wholesaling is for everybody, but I
Yeah.
do think it's one of the biggest opportunities out there for people who know how to tap into it.
Love
So
it. Great
yeah.
answer, man. That's how I feel. Exactly what you just said. So as far as your marketing goes in your wholesale business, I know what you're doing, but I just there's not many people doing it right now. So can you talk about your main lead source right now?
Yeah, my main lead source has always been cold calling. So it's been my backbone, right? And I deviated from the backbone for a while because I got distracted in shiny object syndrome with everything else, and then I quickly went back to it. So cold calling is my, think about having one pillar of marketing, right? Stands here, and then you can bolt on different strategies. So I
Hmm.
do a lot of PPC. We do some direct mail, and and I do a lot of door knocking. I mean, so those are the things that are really driving the business. But even if I slow down on the door knocking, say that somebody, we lose a driver in what specific area or whatever, we always catch everything with the cold calling. You know what I mean? So we're always hitting the campaigns in multiple different from multiple different approaches, and having that lead generation flow coming in. But yeah, I mean those methods. I mean, to me they work well. PPC is a little tougher to get into.
Yeah.
Once you have a budget, then start playing with that, or outsource it to somebody who knows how to do it right. Right. For example,
Yeah.
great. Brent has a great PPC service. I mean, he's been doing it for years, and he went down the service route as well. So his team provides a service for PPC throughout the country, and they're amazing, right? I brought it in house just because I had the ability to do it. So to me, it's an in-house department, and we're working that pay-per-click side. I tried PPL just because I wanted to see what it was, what all the fuzz was all about, and I'm not a fan of it. Um, but yeah, for the most part, man, I mean, if you have start with one, you don't have to go crazy with all
Yeah.
the different types of um, of marketing out there. Uh, and establish yourself in one of the realms. If you're just getting started, one of the fastest ways to speak to sellers is going to be door knocking, right?
Okay.
It takes some thick skin to do it, but I'm telling you, man, some of the biggest deals that we get do come, like statistically, come from the door knocking approach.
Interesting. So how does that look? So I knock on your door. Am I setting up an appointment right then or like to come back or am I trying to go in today? How does that look in your
Good
business?
question. No, I mean, if you're doing it yourself, I mean, you're the setter, you're the closer, you're the lead manager, you're everything, right? So if you have the shot at having that conversation right there and then, I mean, have it right there and then with them.
Yeah.
The way that we have it structured with our driver teams, we have people, we give them a list. We develop software for that, actually, and we're pulling data that's real time data, so it's about as fast as we can possibly get it, and our drivers get it in the field right away. So they go through an app. It's actually mapped out. It's got pins and all kinds of stuff, right? Phone numbers and all the data they're going to need on every property out there that we're targeting.
Hmm.
They have it, and they have it real time, right? So for example, we go up. We go after foreclosures, tax default. I mean, we have a list of different, type of properties that we go after. But as soon as somebody gets the notification, or drivers know it and they're in the field, so they can start driving to that property if they're in the area, right? So they have that way of doing it. They map out and their route a night before, ideally. And what they do when they're at the door, they just set up the appointment. What they're closing is they're setting the appointment for my acquisition guys, right? So if you have a team, even one or two people that are door knocking, you don't want those people closing. You want you closing, right? They're just
Yeah.
setting the appointment for you. So think about appointment setters as you build a team. But when it's you are the appointment setter. You're at the door, you're having that conversation with them. You know what the pain point is, you know what the conversation needs to look like, right? And you carry that from that point of inception to the negotiation process. So yeah, it's two different approaches. If you're a solo operator, you're doing everything right there, and if you can do it at the door, more power to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome. So, so when it comes to door knocking, you guys are focused on the niche list, right? Like you're not just door knocking high equity and going to everybody.
correct. Yeah, we pull foreclosure data is one of the biggest. Listen, if you're calling foreclosure people, you're one of a thousand people that are hitting their phone,
Yeah.
right? Not everybody shows up to their door. I can tell you that because we do it, right? And it's you go from competing, against hundreds of people that are like literally calling people in foreclosure, to a handful of people that have the guts to show up at the door. So
Yeah.
so it's a big filter for somebody's going to go the extra mile and really help that seller out. So yeah, we hit pre-foreclosures is one of them. We'll hit depending on where we're at. I mean, we'll generate our own distressed list as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
When we're driving our own neighborhoods, we're already doing that, right? See a beat up house, we'll skip trace it and then just drop it into the sequence, this SOP, so we can do more research on it and then hit it. But yeah, for the most part, like one thing that you can do for your audience, man, it's go to your county records, find out where your foreclosures are being posted, the notices where they're being posted at, and monitor that list.
Yeah.
Most bigger markets have a website for it, and you can literally see when the property is being posted, right? You have to do a lot of manual work to skip trace it, and they'll usually just have like a PDF, so you'll have to transfer that info, put it somewhere, skip trace it, and then kind of do some detective work. But if I'm telling you, if you do that and you set a route to hit 25 homes a day, 25 doors a day, you are going to find a deal. I'm telling you, I'd be surprised if you don't find a deal that you're working on within the first 30 days.
Yeah. That's
It,
awesome.
it's just deals are out there. People are just not working.
Yeah. And most people are just trying to call and trying to text and send direct
Right.
mail. So you really
Right.
stick out, right? When you're knocking on their door and they're like, who is this guy knocking on my door?
Yeah, exactly. And don't get me wrong. I mean, we do that stuff too with the same lists.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, we're also at the door. We're like, oh yeah, we tried reaching you. We called you a couple days ago, and figure we come by and out, or vice versa, right? So if we door knock, we can send a text message. And actually, part of the SOP is our drivers are sending a text message from the door,
Hmm.
trying to get a hold of them. So I mean, we get pretty proactive in that sense.
That's awesome. Do you guys ever do the like take a picture in front of the house, like, hey, I'm outside of your house? Have you ever done
Yeah,
that? Yeah. Does that
yeah,
work
yeah,
pretty well?
we've done that, and we send it out to the skip trace emails. So, or I'm sorry, skip trace phone numbers.
We. So what is your cold calling like? Is that in-house too? Like, do you do all of that in-house? Or you have a company that does the cold calling and you guys follow up with the leads?
Direct to sellerleads.com is the cold calling agency.
Okay.
I actually partnered up with them. They're out of Egypt. They do really well. I mean, I've tried Latin America, and I'm Mexican, right? But I've tried Latin America and Philippines, and I've tried a bunch of different places, even in the States, in house. And these guys, bang for the buck. I mean, they're doing really good. Send us leads on a regular basis. They do pretty good at pre-qualifying. So the cool thing about cold calling too that I like is that it's easy to scale. For example,
Yeah.
if you bring another acquisitions in, you add 3 cold callers.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, it's simple, and then they just hit the list, and then the lead count just increases. So if you have the ability of pre-qualifying decently on the sourcing stage,
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna be all right when it comes to leads.
Awesome. So I know you're doing your leads and your deals in, the Phoenix area, but are you a hybrid? Like, are you also doing things virtually?
Yeah, yeah. So we do Phoenix. My main markets are Phoenix, Florida, Cali, Indianapolis or Indiana, and we do some stuff in Texas. And so that's where we market to. However, we get deals all over the place through PPC, through oh, do you have any other properties you might want to sell? You always want
Yeah.
to ask that question at the end of the conversation, by the way. So if you're listening, make a note. And and I mean, we'll end up getting deals in markets that we're not tapped into, but we have the ability to grow buyers list really really fast. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
so we take them down and still process them. Yeah.
So the places that you're not in physically, how did you decide to pick those areas? Like, did you already have people in place there or?
Dude, you're loaded with good questions. I like it. No, I don't. So the investorboots.com is one of the I mean, we use them for door knocking, or not door knocking, I'm sorry, for boots on the ground services. But yeah, I mean, they do notary, they'll put up locks, they'll do so, and there's multiple companies, right? You can reach out to any of these, but we have a really good relationship with them, and they'll for a fee, they'll go out, and if we need a contract signed, if somebody
Yeah.
can't do email or somebody can't do whatever, we need a lockbox up. We need to do a quick walkthrough and take pictures of the property along with a like a summarized report of what the property looks like. I mean, we just send them out. And yeah, I mean, it's a fee, but then it's a shot at the contract. So
Yeah.
so when we can't get pictures from the sellers themselves, we'll do boots on the ground company. And yeah, I mean, if there's some markets where we do have people that are willing to go and do it. I don't like to do that too much, because usually when that happens, people feel entitled to the big revenue of the deal,
Sure.
and it's unless it's a service fee, it just makes things clearer. But yeah, I mean, having just having somebody to go to, a company to go to, makes things a lot easier. So my transaction coordination team in Dispo, they actually coordinate that with them. So we can't get pictures on the front end, or the pictures are bad.
Yeah.
We'll just redo them again, and then set them through the process. Yeah.
Sweet, sweet. So let's go into your coaching a little bit. Being a real estate investor myself, I love to do houses, but I also like helping people. And I get a lot of people who message me and ask for help, and I don't coach. So my
Yeah.
question is, when you got into real estate, was it a plan to become a coach and to have that side of the business?
No, I kind of got bullied into it. That's a funny story, but yeah, no, it was not. It was never a plan to start coaching. But I had the same thing. People would reach out, and then, oh, listen, can you walk me through this? Can you walk me through that? And I had no problem, sharing, spending the time. But then what happened? I mean, I was spending a lot of time with people, and walking them through the beginnings of it and whatnot. And I'm telling you, dude, I mean, I don't know, 20% do anything with the information you give them. You probably know this
Yeah,
by now.
yeah,
And it's frustrating, right? It's frustrating when people don't have skin in the game, and they're like, it's just, it shouldn't be that way, but it is.
yeah.
So I went to consulting. I started consulting and doing that around 2016, 17. And then I started building my own biz ops. Again, my background is business psychology, so I started doing my own systems and processes, and fine tuning my own company. When I got started, I did it by myself for a while, and then I sold one of the business that I was running at the time, and I went into it full time. But I started working with Sean Terry,
Mm.
so I was his acquisitions guy for a couple of years. And while I was doing that, I mean, I got to play with scorecards. I mean, I got to play with his business, building the back end of it, and a lot of just the automations, and not automations, but the tracking and KPIs, and strategy side of putting deals together and whatnot, right? So I got to play in that space, and I liked it a lot. So I did a lot of that in my own business. And when people start reaching out, I would just implement, fine tune, and anytime you explain something to somebody else, you're clarifying it on your end, right? So it's a two-way street when you teach.
Yeah.
It helps you, get better and more dialed in on your own ops. So I did that for a while, but I was like, I didn't want to coach. I didn't want to coach. Eventually, Brent is the guy that got me into coaching. He says, "Listen, dude, you're gonna get a call this afternoon. Just take the damn call." And I mean, we've been talking about, or he had been talking about it with me for a while, and so I ended up joining Wholesaling Inc. and kicking off the group coaching. And what was that? 2019, I think it was. So, but yeah, I mean, I done consulting, and at that point, I mean, I had a bunch of people using my processes, CRM, that type of stuff.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I didn't know that about you, that you started off as an acquisition manager. That's how I started, for a
Yeah,
local flip company. So I feel like, you don't always have to just jump straight into wholesaling or real estate. Like you can go and work for another company. Like there's nothing wrong with that. So I just wanted to put that out there for anybody watching. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
absolutely. Like absolutely. I mean, use like in my case, for example, right? Um, I started listening to podcasts. I went down YouTube University. I went down like, and this is 2011, 12, 13. I mean, there wasn't a lot out there. I mean, now you throw a rock and you hit, somebody who's got a product out there, right? But back then, dude, I mean, there was a handful of podcasts. Sean Terry's was one of them. Flip to Freedom. Todd Toback was another one. So I listened to those guys. The Wholesaling Inc. came in a little later. But listening to, for example, Sean's podcast, I closed deals, right? So then I heard that, or I got an email on I signed up to his email list to see the properties, and I got an email that he was looking for an acquisitions guy. And at that point, I owned a non-emergency medical transportation business
Mm.
that I had I mean, I launched that in 2006, and I was in the process of just like deciding whether or not to jump out and to sell it and then do something else. And I got really into wholesaling. So fast forward a few months, and I sold the business, and I was sitting there, I was like, what do I do? And then I reached out, sent him an email, sent a little video and whatnot. Met with Sean, got hired on the spot, and I was like, if I'm gonna go learn and I'm gonna stop being my own entrepreneur, and I did really well in the exit of that business. So I was trying to figure out my next move, but I'm gonna try to go where I'm tested. You know what I mean? Because I mean, yeah, ego can take me down the route of, oh, I got to build this out myself.
Yeah.
I can do it. I can figure it out, dude. That's gonna take me way longer. It's not gonna challenge me in the right ways. And sure enough, man, I started working there with him, and I was going on average about 25 face-to-face appointments a week. This is me sitting across the table from another person, not over the phone.
Yeah.
So it was all face-to-face sales the entire time I was there. And I mean, think about what that does to the learning curve, right?
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it was just like an intense um, period of learning, and absolutely, if you have the opportunity to go do it somewhere or cut the learning curve somehow, like
Yeah.
take advantage of it because time is money. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I love it. I know we're running out of time here, but I do have another question for you. So I
shoot.
see books, I see instruments. So this leads to my next question. What are you doing to turn off that business mind and to just relax and be you?
Oh, brother, I play a lot. Um, I mean, I love music. Like you're always gonna find a guitar somewhere in my office. And this is my home studio. This is my home office. But at my office, I have the same thing. I'll disconnect. I'll start playing a song whenever I'm overwhelmed. And if it gets too noisy, I'll find a way to get back into center. That way, music does it for me. I meditate a lot. The gym, I hit the gym on a daily basis. I'm always out and about, camping and doing that kind of stuff, right? But I think we got to find. I call it counterbalance, right? Because if you're an entrepreneur and you're wired to go 1,000 miles an hour every single day, you're always going to be running on the red. You know what I mean? You
Yep.
got to find something that makes you not inspires you, but makes you snap out of it, right?
Love it.
And to me, that's if I have, for example, I love hosting, right? It's like if I had a hard day or something like that, I'll invite people over and I'll do a cookout. I'll start
Yeah.
grilling, stuff like that. But that will force my mind to just disconnect. Throw me at the beach, bro. I'll forget that I have work altogether. You know, there's things that I think they're triggers.
Yeah.
They're psychological triggers that help you disconnect from all these things. And I feel like sometimes we want to force it too much, or we want to make it, you know, we have to go like super intense on things. And I've been down that road as well, where there's no joy in the element. It's all discipline with no joy, and I think that's not sustainable either. So you got to have a counterbalance between, you know, you going your nature, right, of going all in all the time, and having that good reset button where you're enjoying the time that you're doing, right, you still have discipline in place, and I mean that has the equation to become a lifestyle, right, as opposed to getting burned on either of the you know, sides of the wick per se.
Man, you provided so much value within the last 26 minutes. I appreciate it. And I'm sure everybody watching is going to appreciate it too. Before we get off here, what could you leave with people? What is the final words from Raphael that you could leave with people today?
I guess my one of my mantras is and it's a quote by Paulo Coelho. It's I refuse to walk carefully through life only to arrive safely at my death. When I listened to that, when I read it actually the first time, and it's in my book back there, but when I read the first time, it just landed, right? A lot of times or you know, I'll speak for myself here, but it's like playing the safe route. I want to have everything figured out. I want to have everything dialed in. I want to, you know what the next 5 steps look like. And the reality of things is that life's gonna hit you, and it's gonna hit you in whatever way it wants. Um, and waiting for that perfect moment, it just wastes opportunity. It really does. And so the whole, I'm not saying don't be methodical about what you do. I'm just saying don't be, you know, so safe that you can't live your life and you can't, you know, pursue your dreams. Because at the end of the day, the regrets are going to come from the stuff that you didn't do, right? So take action, people. Get out there. Whatever it is that you're pursuing, if it's in real estate, if it's in wholesaling, if it's in, I don't know, music, do that. Do that too. I mean, just fucking go for it.
Love it. So how should people reach out to you? You want them to go to your Facebook, Instagram, email?
I'm pretty active on social. You can find me on Instagram at Rafael Cortez CEO. Also, I do a webinar a weekly webinar on wholesaling. It's reawholesaling.com. So yeah, either of those two. That works.
Awesome. I appreciate your time here, man, and it's a pleasure. I really appreciate you. It's awesome. And I hope to, have you back on here like every, 4, 5, 6 months just to keep updating and keep providing.
Yeah, hit me up, man. Let's do it.
Awesome. I
Always
appreciate you,
down for
man.
a good conversation.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it so much, man. You have a good one.
You got it, brother. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you.